Welcome to the 175th episode of the Jami Dulaney Plant-Based Wellness Podcast. My name is Jami Dulaney, and I'm your host. I'm a plant-based cardiologist and endurance athlete living in Southwest Florida. Welcome, and thanks for tuning in. Just put up a podcast earlier in this week about the International Conference on Nutrition and Medicine at Washington, D.C., but I thought my usual podcast comes out Friday, Saturday, so I thought I'd better get one out and make sure people have something to walk and run to on the weekend, because that's kind of what I do on my long run. I listen to a podcast or an audiobook, so I thought I'd get at least a short one out for you today. We were traveling last weekend, and in my Ironman training, obviously that meant not a long bike ride and not a long run. Addie and I did get a pretty long walk in, as well as running every day and weight training every day, so we didn't get too far behind. And so coming back, I got back into the swing of things with getting my bike and run in during the week, and got my swim in today. So I'm going to have a long run Saturday and a long bike on Sunday, and we should be back at it. And it's kind of nice sometimes. Ironman training can get a little tiring. There's a lot going on every day, 2 hours plus of doing things, along with the weight training 3 days a week. So it was kind of nice to have a little bit of break and decrease the volume for a week. So I feel pretty energetic and ready for my long run tomorrow. I'll let you know, I guess, next week how that goes. It's still 90 plus degrees here in Florida, so a lot of humidity training, but that's okay too. I'm still keeping true to my massage ball, or I guess it's tissue release hard ball that I'm rolling on for tissue release in my shoulders and my back and my legs. I think that's and my feet. So I think that's really good management for the volume that I'm doing. Keep all the little niggles away. I ride on a Wahoo trainer during the week and use the Zwift app. Some people had asked me what I used to ride, so I virtually ride with people all over the world on different courses in the comfort of my own bedroom, and can watch the action on TV, and it keeps track of power and everything. So I really do enjoy it, and it's a lot safer than going out in the dark during the week to get a bike ride in. So during the week I'm on a trainer, on the weekend I'm out on the road. As far as Florida gardens and backyard fruit trees go, mango season's almost over down here, so it's a sad time, but I have papayas coming in. I have my first dragon fruit blooms going on, so that's really exciting. Hoping to get some dragon fruit. Perhaps we have figs on the fig tree, so that's all good. Still tomatoes and lettuce. Tower Garden's hanging on because it's on the lanai, so I'm real happy with that. So we're getting lettuce and collards off of that. Have some eggplants coming off of that. My herbs are still going okay, and the little mango trees we've planted are all doing well. So it's kind of. I met a few people when I was at the conference that listened to the podcast, and it's I like listening to podcasts because you get to feel like someone by listening to what they do on a daily basis and things that are happening into their life. Sometimes I think when I talk about the training in the garden, it's a little bit boring. But, most people say they kind of like to hear it, so I'll keep giving you updates. Today I'd like to focus a little bit about people that have someone that they like to become plant-based, but they're really not interested. I've had a couple people that I've spoken to this past couple of weeks that they have a loved one that's been very ill, and they'd like them to change, but the loved one really doesn't want any part of it. And the situations are different, but the same. The people that are sick describe it as, I'm so far gone, there's no hope, there's no reason to change. What I have now, what I have left is eating, and if I don't eat what I want, then I really don't have anything, and it's probably not going to help anyway. And if I make this change and it doesn't help, then what good has it done? I've just wasted time eating things I don't really like. One thing I learned at the conference, or at least it got added, or at least it got supported, was that there's always hope. There's hope with heart failure. There's hope with cancer. There's hope with heart disease. There's hope with diabetes. There's hope with autoimmune disease. and you just have to start. And I'm not exactly sure what the difference is from the people I just described and the people I alluded to last week's conference. Were given a similar terrible diagnosis, yet they immediately started to think, what can I do to change the course of this disease? What can I do to help myself? And I kind of liken it to when I used to play golf. I started playing golf with my dad at a young age, and the reason why I'm not a professional golfer, I had some aptitude for playing golf, but I didn't have the head for the game. When I was having a bad round and something happened, which it oftentimes does, you get behind a tree or you get in the sand or you have a bad swing, I would immediately start to go down the road. Well, I blew the score. There's no way I'm going to have the great score today, so it's over. And, the game would just sort of tumble out of control until I got a hold of myself, which was, 3 or 4 holes later. And usually it was a self-fulfilling prophecy that by the time I got a hold of my head, the score was, not going to be the greatest score. And it was days where I was just really relaxed and not thinking of a whole lot and not trying very hard that I had the best score. But my father, on the other hand, was, he's what we call a mutter. If it was raining and snowing or, cold or it was muddy, he played his best game. And that, of course, usually made my game worse, just to have somebody doing well when I was doing bad, and, it'd be cold, and I would have more things to be miserable about. But even if he got, behind a tree or got into the sand or got some horrible lie, he always looked at it as an opportunity to try to troubleshoot and figure out what he could do to come back from the trouble. And I think that's a lot, again, perspective. You're never going to come back from trouble if you have the attitude that it's not going to work. There's very little chance that it's going to, magic's going to fall from the sky and you're going to get better without putting any effort. If you're stuck in the mud and you don't try to move, you're going to stay stuck in the mud. You're not going to get out. And the worst thing that can happen by spinning your wheels is you spin your wheels, and it's not going to make things worse. You're just not going to get out. But at least if you're trying, you have the opportunity to move forward. Put it another way, when you're doing an ultra or an Ironman, bad things happen during it. You feel bad. You have lows. And they're not going to last forever. They're going to come back around. You start to feel better, and you just have to kind of ride through it. But the longer you start to wallow in it, the longer it can potentially last. So you're better off to see how you can troubleshoot it. And ironically, when I'm running or doing Ironman, I have a lot better ability. Maybe it's because I'm older, to say, okay, how can I get myself out of this fix? I'm in a jam, so how can I assess the situation and move on? And maybe I think of it more from a scientific aspect. Is it my nutrition? Is it my gait? Do I need, what do I need to do to troubleshoot myself out of this? And it always seems to get better. And even to the point sometimes when it's all the way over and you think, oh man, I couldn't have really ridden any further. I certainly didn't want to run today. And then, you kind of get showered up and it's like, I feel pretty good. I don't think, I could have gone on. So it's your perspective at the time that limits you, not necessarily the reality of what actually limits you. So if you circle back around to an example that someone is severely overweight and they have heart failure and their legs hurt when they walk and they can't breathe, it's like, well, I'm doomed. But what can you do to fix this? Well, the first thing that, you have to take a step in the right direction. And we know with cardiovascular disease that step involves, taking the bad things out and putting some good things in. And the easiest step in the morning is to go ahead and put some oatmeal and berries in. That change that eggs and greasy breakfast and the vasoconstriction that you start out with. So you're starting yourself out a little bit better. A little flaxseed omega-3s. You start to generate a little dopamine, a little serotonin. Your mood's a little better in the morning. Then shortly thereafter, you can add in some nitric oxide producing greens, spinach, kale, cauliflower, broccoli, bok choy, beets. Even if you have to take the beets and mix the beets with applesauce and blueberries and it tastes like the bananas and blueberries, you can get those nitric oxide producing beets down. And then all of a sudden you start to open up those little collateral blood vessels. and you start to get more blood flow, you start to feel a little bit better. Then what can you do to follow it up? Add some different greens, add some beans, add some grains. And so little by little, by doing these good things and taking away the bad things, you start to feel pretty good pretty quick. Just eliminating the salt from processed food and canned food from your diet helps you get rid of the fluid, helps you decompress, helps you to breathe better. So there's so many things you can do with nutrition, and we've seen so many things, even with our 90-year-olds, that start to change the way they eat, and they start to feel better. Again, we've had amazing results. The fluid falls off. It was presented at the conference that people that are on transplant lists get kicked off a transplant list because they start to feel better. Same way with autoimmune disease. I met somebody today that had the onset of Graves' disease, which is hyperthyroidism, which is an autoimmune disease. They were on a low-carb, high-dairy, high-protein diet. It's like the first thing you got to do is get rid of the dairy. You're never going to make this better until you take some of the offending agents away. Waiting for a doctor's appointment that are going to give you more medications, that's just spinning your wheels. Take action, get it started, get moving forward with getting better. Same thing goes with depression. People are depressed, they eat bad, they don't move, they don't exercise. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You feel bad, you think negative thoughts, it keeps going on and on and on. My grandmother used to say, if everybody put out their dirty laundry, you want to bring yours back in, because there's always a story out there worse than yours. It doesn't make yours better, but you don't have the worst story. You never have the worst story out there. You're still alive. You still have people that care about you. Maybe you don't realize if they care about you at the point, but nevertheless, when you start taking action, take a walk, again, start eating foods that help omega-3 fatty acids. They produce dopamine and serotonin. You start feeling better. You start sleeping better. All of a sudden, things start to turn around a little bit. And then you can start weaning off some of these medications. Unfortunately, the psychiatric field was probably the first field that was overrun with medications. And the pharmaceutical industry, treating people with medications, actually making it difficult for academic doctors to rise in the ranks of their profession without using the medications. So it became a very medication-driven field as opposed to more of a talk or a psychoanalytic field. And again, it takes more time, and so people get put on these medications, and our body's pretty smart. Our body tries to counteract these medications and make neurotransmitters to try to fight this, and become somewhat of a vicious cycle. And these medications aren't easy to get off, but the first step is actually doing something, moving around, starting to eat well. And then, when you can get a little strength behind you, you can start to back off on some of these with the help of your physician. So perhaps, instead of the woe is me, I have the opportunity to change the course of my illness. I have the opportunity to become more healthy. And this is the problem, and these are the steps I need to take to get better. And it has to be focused. It has to be driven by the individual, not somebody else. No matter how much you love someone, you're not going to be the one that makes them well. They have to be able to do it. You can provide them with information when they're ready for it, but they have to be the one that takes the step and wants to do the work. Because in order for a human to be healthy, the human has to want to be healthy, and define the why. You can help them define their why. I think by being supportive of people that eventually helps them to find their why, and talk about the good things. Talk about the good things that are around them. Oftentimes we start complaining and we get into a fest where we, talk about the good old days and what I used to be able to eat, and how we used to be able to do it, and other people seem not to be unhealthy and they do it. But that doesn't get you anywhere. I told someone today, if you have the opportunity to be on offense, be on offense. So what can you do to advance your health and make it better? And at least if you're on defense right now and you're very sick and you're very ill, okay, let's stop the progress of where it is. So we're going to stop things from getting worse, and now we're going to choose to go on offense, and we're going to choose to make it better. A lot of times people can't give up their salty, fatty food because they've never tasted the food without tasting the fat and the salt. Putting butter on corn is an example. It's a vegetable. In the summertime, it's called sweet corn because it's very sweet. High fructose corn syrup is a derivative or processed food from corn. So it's a sweet, very sweet vegetable that has fiber. Corn on the cob is good. We used to, when my grandmother, when I was little, they raised corn. We had corn and green beans and beets out of the garden every day. That was an everyday occurrence. But there's no need to put the butter on it. That takes everything good and negates it, because when you put that oil into your system, you're going to block the uptake of glucose. You're going to cause vasoconstriction. You're going to feel bad. You're going to change the acid in your stomach. You're going to change your microbes. So it's one thing. And the reality of the butter is it came from the dairy, the milk of a cow that had to be repeatedly artificially inseminated. It has tremendous high estrogen, high growth factors. It's a terrible life for the cow. The industry to make the butter, it results in a terrible product, and there's no way anything good can come out of it. It's a habit that you just have to say no more. If you can go a week eating foods in their natural form, corn by itself without butter, green beans steamed with some mushrooms, maybe a little miso, beets boiled, maybe a little vinegar, beans, maybe a little cumin, turmeric. Then you'll learn to taste what those things taste like, and you'll acquire a taste for them, and then you'll start to crave those things. I crave greens just the way they are. I can open a box of spinach and just eat the spinach because I like the taste of spinach. I have a tower garden. I go outside and I eat half my salad on the tower garden while I'm standing there. There's lettuce growing on it, and I sit there and eat the lettuce. I eat the Swiss chard, eat the collards. It's wonderful. The actual taste of it. It doesn't need a dressing on it. Actually, Addie found a dressing at the grocery store, and she texted me, and it was a imitation blue cheese. And it looked like blue cheese, $6 in a bottle. Nice picture. The first ingredient was water. The second was vinegar. And then it was titanium disulfide. And then a whole other list of chemicals and different variants on MSGs. It was creamy. No calories, no nutrients, except for the only thing it had in it was to any measurable effect was salt. And these chemicals. That doesn't do anything to help you. It's money. For $6 you could get, some more fruit or change to organic greens. So, learn to taste things for what they are and the vegetables like they are. And if you do it for a couple of weeks, then you'll like that taste. But just remember, when you're doing a chemistry experiment on your food by eating salt and fat and processed sugar and processed chemicals, you're not doing yourself any favor. You're just exposing yourself to be sick. And when you heat carbohydrates, especially breads and various vegetables, potatoes especially, it increases the generation of acrylamides. And acrylamides are carcinogens. They cause cancer. They are neurotoxins. And there is 500 times the amount that's allowable in the daily diet when you consume potato chips or frozen French fries or any kind of French fries. Putting something on the grill increases them. The oven increases them. Baked potato chips are actually worse than fried potato chips. Not that fried potato chips are acceptable or healthy in any way. So baked doesn't mean any good. So when you're doing that, you're actually causing yourself to become more ill. And you're allowing marketing companies to lure you in to become addicted to these things and relying upon these things that, waste your money and waste your health. And, put you in a position of woe is me, that I need these poisons as comfort food. And if you just look at it that way, It really isn't. There's nothing comforting about a Pringle that has acrylamides, and it doesn't even have potatoes in it. So it's just fried grease and chemicals that make it addictive. So don't let yourself go down that road of woe is me and then turn to bad food, because you're never going to get past the funk if you keep putting bad stuff into your body. There were 2 instances this week where people's partners tried to lure them with vegan junk food and/or to restaurants where they could not get healthy meals, and that their previous so-called comfort foods were, I always got this when I went to this restaurant, the nostalgia of eating poorly. And it's difficult. It puts people in a bad situation. Especially when junk food is brought into the house, whether it's vegan or regular, the chips, if somebody's, being tempted. And, unfortunately, humans want to drag other humans down with them. It seems like people drag people down more than they drag them up. But you're not really doing anybody any favor by saying you have to do something and you don't do it yourself. So you set a good example and you just put your foot down. It's like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not killing myself. I don't want to be subjected to this. I don't want to look like that. I don't want to be a part of that process or this big machinery that, causes people to be ill. I want to be able to move and to be able to walk, and you just have to say no. You're not being unreasonable by not wanting to kill yourself with food and chemicals. Sometimes people start to go down that road of venting about the negative this, and they feel bad about this, and I feel bad about this, and we need something to make us feel healthy, and it just goes awry. Oftentimes, this is summertime, people go back and, I have another patient that's, people go to reunions and they get with people that they haven't seen for a while. And, they start making dishes that they made in yesteryear, and, they want to have comfort foods together. And so they all fall off the wagon, or they drag the other person off the wagon. I have one person traveling, doing very well on a plant-based diet. Then all of a sudden they go out to these bad restaurants, and all of a sudden her glucose is shooting up. And the solution from her friends and relatives were that she should eat eggs and bacon and just throw in the towel. Luckily she was able to say, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be sick. I've had enough health scares that I don't want to go down the road. I don't want to be on a bunch of medications. I don't want to be in the hospital. I don't want to have a stroke, because all this is preventable. It is completely preventable with the way you choose to eat. And in reality, when you give in to that, you're actually telling that person, I'm not sure if eating right does make a difference. I'm not sure whether it is, it's worth the fight. Maybe I should just go down that road as well, and we'll just be miserable together. It's never going to pull. So if you really care about the person that you're with that's trying to pull you down, then you need to stand up even stronger and say, no, this is the way I'm going to eat, because I want to be healthy, and I want to be around. I want to be around for my kids, my grandkids. I want to be around to do things and travel, and stand up, stand your ground. That it's okay to be healthy. It's good to be healthy. It's good to be of a normal weight. Everybody in this world doesn't have to be overweight. We don't all have to be miserable together, and I'm not going to be a part of it. The best thing about a plant-based diet is it's good for everything. It's not a weight loss program. Weight loss is a side effect of eating whole food plant-based, because your body goes back to what it's supposed to weigh at normal weight. You don't have to worry when you're eating fruit and vegetables that you're going to be overweight, and it's only when you start to eat processed foods. All of the other diets, especially the keto, that you can lose weight, granted, but at a price. The price is your health and increased risk of cancer. And I was on the internet today before I started the podcast, because I always kind of scan for what's going on, and I saw a Twitter post: women over 40 need to know about ketone. And I went ahead and clicked on it, and it talks about ketone. A Shark Tank invested. There's a guy named Dr. Ron Change. I didn't Google him, but he has a partner who's a financial analyst. Right then and there, it should stop you and say, okay, so I have a doctor that's playing with a financial analyst. That means he's trying to make money on poor, susceptible people that don't know any better. So this Michael Schrader is the the financial analyst, and they created this and ready to go way to put the body in that state without the stringent diet. So they're talking about trying to get ketotic, meaning you're trying to go into ketosis where you generate ketone bodies without having to fast. So how can we cheat and fast? We know Dr. Goldhammer puts people on a water fast diet. It transitions them to plant-based food, takes them off of salt, oil, and salt, and they get better. So we know that when people give their bodies a chance to heal, they do become ketotic, but then they go back into eating a whole food plant-based diet, and they're certainly not maintaining it with ketone esters or ketone salts. So these people came up with this ketotone that's supposed to decrease the keto flu, because when you go on a ketotic diet, it's supposed to be, you feel awful. Constipation, headache, bad breath, muscle cramps, weakness, diarrhea, rash. Those are all great things to do, right? When you're trying to get healthy, you cause yourself to have a flu. And these ketones are basically ketone bodies. They're ketone salts, medium chain fatty acids that basically mask some of those symptoms, because what's happening is you're losing a lot of potassium and sodium and water loss on the first day, and you feel horrible because your body's just in a wreck. So they found a way to have you cheat by taking this pill twice a day, that you can get the benefits, theoretical benefits of ketosis. But again, we know that this is our body going into starvation mode. This is something to be done as a short term. The things that are turned on are all the bells and whistles for a red alert when you're not eating. So, and there's plenty of studies that have come out to show there's actually increased risk of cancer, increased risk of taking in toxins, because when you eat ketotically, you're eating a high-fat diet, and where are the toxins in food stored? They're stored in the fat of the animal. So the animal's exposed to whether PCBs, dioxin, mercury, arsenic, lead. That's what you're taking in. That's what you're storing, and it's a very, very dangerous way to eat. But anyway, these people have generated a pill so that you can lose weight and look good. Don't worry about your health. It's better to look good than to be healthy. And that's a horrible message to give to anyone, because basically what we're doing is we're focusing on body image and not the health of the person. We want you to be healthy. We want your heart to be strong. We want your blood vessels to be clean. We want your cancer cells to be gone. We want your immune system in check, ready to defend yourself, if you should be exposed to something infectious, but not attacking itself. That's not addressed in these other ways of eating. I think we've got away from planning in our society a little bit. We want immediate feedback and immediate rewards. We don't want to wait for an email. We want a text message. We want immediate response when we text someone. We want immediate results when we change our nutrition. We don't want to have to suffer at all. And we don't want to really have to plan. We want to plan for anything. We live in the future and we live in the past, but we want everything now. And I think that the best way that people can, again, troubleshoot for health is to, where are the problems and what are my goals, and let's make a plan. And not the general, I just want to be healthy plan, because that doesn't do anything. But what am I going to do tomorrow? What am I going to do this week? Sometimes it's as simple as plan for the breakfast in the morning. Do your overnight oats. Get your fruit prepared. Buy the fruit. Make sure it's in the house. When you open up the refrigerator, if there's nothing there, you're going to fail. You're going to reach for whatever was on the counter or whatever kind of prepared thing there are. It's coming out, a lot of oats, Quaker things, Nature Valley, Cheerios. They're finding Roundup in these products. They're not healthy. Again, processed foods. Stick to, simple things that you can recognize and prepare and have them around. If you have the fruit in the refrigerator, and you have several different kinds, it's ready to go. You have the oats, they're in the cabinet. They're in a jar, so you have them, or some other kind of grain, whether it's teff or quinoa or rice that you like for breakfast. Make sure that you have greens. So, you look in the refrigerator, there should be a box of greens or a bag of kale that you can always get to. What are you going to put on it? Do you have some vinegar? Do you have some lemon? Do you have cucumber? Do you have peppers? Do you have some rice made? Make a couple cups of rice at a time. Don't have to worry about rice at lunchtime when you come home. It's already made. Just scoop it out, warm it up, and you're ready to go. Same way with beans. If you have beans made and they start to go low, soak them and get ready. It amazes me, when people call and they run out of their medication, and it seems simple that, you had one pill left, and you take the pill every day. So how could you believe that, it's going to magically appear in the morning in your pill box if it's not there the night before? But the same thing happens with people and their food. You knew the night before. Everybody opens the refrigerator. They've got to know that there's something there or there's not anything there. So, you need to go out, and it doesn't matter when. If you're listening to this podcast and there's nothing in your refrigerator, put it on pause or put it in the car and go and get your refrigerator stocked up. Get your pantry stocked up, that you have beans in there, that you have rice. You have a couple different kinds of grain. Do you have your nitric oxide producing grains for the next couple of days? What are you going to put with the greens? Swiss chard, butter beans, sweet potato. Do you have potatoes? A couple sweet potatoes, a couple white potatoes. That's all you need. You don't really need to leave the produce aisle to get things stocked up. Produce aisle and that one aisle where the dry goods are. And once you have that, then you're ready to go. We were talking today, we put a test kitchen in for our nutrition class in the office, and we have our jars in the pantry all lined up. We have all kinds of grains. We have oats. We have some walnuts, some raisins, some sunflower seeds. We have almond milk ready to go in the container if we need some of that. We have sauerkraut. We have some frozen berries to make, various things. So we could live in the office and do just fine because we have it stocked for our nutrition class. And, we assess, what are we going to make this week? We have 3 nutrition classes every week, Monday, Thursday, and Friday. We have the menus planned out, so we know what we need for the week. So we have all the perishables that we get in, so we're ready to go, ready to prep. We have things like potatoes and onions and garlic already there. We have the spices already there. So it's just like your kitchen. So if we can have an office nutrition kitchen that's ready to go all the time, and nobody even spends the night there, then you can certainly do that at your house. You just have to take the step and see whether it's there. None of it is expensive. We have 15 to 24 people in our class, Monday, Thursday, and Friday. And they all taste the food. So, we prepare in a big Instant Pot. I have a big wok. Have a big baking dish. So we have everything that we really need. I have a little food processor there. We have an immersion blender ready to go. So get yourself prepared and get things lined up and clear the clutter out. There's no room for potato chips. There's no room for crackers. There's no room for all this processed junk food. Keep it simple, and you don't have any temptations. Last but not least, move your body every day. A lot of people are wearing watches now that have their steps on them. Make sure you're getting adequate steps. Everybody should be getting at least 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day, at least, minimum. If not, go take a walk and get them. So if you're listening to this podcast and you don't have your steps, go out and get the steps. Your legs strong, your brains are strong, so do something to make your legs strong. I'm getting ready to go upstairs and do my weights. I'm going to run and ride tomorrow. I want to keep my legs strong. I want to be able to get off the ground if I should fall down. If I should fall down, I don't want to break anything because I want my bones strong, so I'm not going to eat animal products. So those are things you can do. But as I leave you here, make sure you're moving your body this week. And make sure you get out and huff and puff a little bit. Get your lungs opened up. And keep things simple. Eat the vegetables close to what they look like. If you don't know what a tomato looks like, Google it. See what a tomato looks like. When you eat your tomato, it should look like the one that you Googled, not some chip that's made into a tomato, or a beet chip or a kale chip. eat the real thing. Eat the kale. When you heat that stuff up, you're generating chemicals. You don't need a chemistry experiment. We truly are on your side in our office. We'd love to help, whether online or in the office, in nutrition classes or consultation with Addie Dulaney Minich, our registered dietitian. So give us a look on the website, drdulaney.com, DOCTORDULANEY. Email me at jami@drdulaney.com. Be happy to speak with you, answer your emails, talk to you about our practice. Email Addie at addie@drdulaney.com for more information. We'd love to hear from you, tell you more about our practice, our program, help you to get off your medications, help you to eat right, help you to take control of your health, and get rid of the woe is me. So go out, take a walk, eat your vegetables, what they look like. Don't get the keto flu or any other kind of flu, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for listening.